What's going on, DFSArmy? It is Craig Bennett, aka Cash Keg, here with another NBA First Look video on Saturday, April 3rd, 2021, day before Easter here. 8-game slate tonight. We got some early baseball today as well. We'll have you covered over there at DFSArmy, but basketball, 8-game slate. I believe the slate kicks off at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A lot of injury news. Seems like we've had a ton of it the last couple weeks, so we'll go through that. Kind of build a couple sample lineups in DraftKings and Fanduel, and just talk about the slate overall. So if you like these videos, keep hitting that thumbs up button for me. I really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload these videos. But just let's dive right into this thing. We got a massive 8-game slate on a Saturday and a lot to get into. All right, here we go. Got DraftKings in the background. I will start with DraftKings, and I will finish up with a FanDuel lineup towards the end. If you're a FanDuel player, stick around. Let's get after it. No over-under total here for the Dallas at Washington at 7 o'clock. Injury news, J.J. Redick is still out after getting traded to Dallas. Terry and Willie Cauley-Stein are both questionable. And on Washington side, we have no Gafford. Bradley Beal's the big one. He's questionable. And Davis Bertans and Ish Smith are both in today. So the big thing is, on the Dallas side, it's a back-to-back 3 and 4 with them. Are we going to see Porzingis play or not? I'm not sure. He hasn't played a ton of back-to-backs here. So if he does sit, it's going to open up a ton here. We'll get more shots and everything, out of Hardaway, out of Brunson, Richardson, Finney-Smith. All these guys will come into play with Porzingis sitting out. I don't think they need to go big, so I don't think we'll be a Boban sighting at all. But with Willie Cauley-Stein out, I bet they'll probably move Powell into the starting lineup, as would be my guess. But we'll have to see, and I think that's why there's not a line here. They're just they got to figure out what Bradley Beal's going to do, and then if Porzingis is going to play. So that's probably why there's not a line. And if that's the case, Luka is going to be a great play at 10-6 if Porzingis does sit, especially against Washington, one of the fastest teams in the league, and they're horrible defensively. So that's where we're kind of leaning there. Again, on FanDuel pricing, 10-4 for Luka, and then all the other guys are priced right if Porzingis did sit. Brunson's 5-1, Hardaway's 5-1, Richardson's 5K, Kleba's 4-4, Finney-Smith's 4. So all those guys will come into play if Porzingis does sit. And if he does play, it's hard for me to like these guys when they're at full strength, so I probably won't touch them on this slate. On the Washington side, again, Bradley Beal's the big one. If Bradley Beal did sit, I'm going to go back to Westbrook here. He's expensive. He's 11-1 on DraftKings, 11K on FanDuel, but he just gets all the usage in the world. Someone that we're going to want to attack if Bradley Beal does sit. I still think you can play him if Bradley Beal is in, but 11K is expensive. Rui Hachimura, 7K on DraftKings, 6K on FanDuel. He's only in play for me if Bradley Beal sits because he's been clearly showed that he's the number 2 scorer on that team. I do think it's going to hurt him a little bit with Bertans coming back. Bertans likes to shoot a ton. Won't see a ton of minutes, probably come off the bench, probably see 20 minutes or so. But it will take a little bit of those shots away from Rui, who's just been chucking the ball. And again, I have a hard time playing any of these other guys, really. Nobody that I really want to attack. Ish Smith coming back. I don't know how many minutes he's going to play, but it's probably going to take a little bit away from Raul Neto. So we'll have to look there. He's 3,800 on DraftKings, 3,500 on FanDuel. So if Beal was out and we got, word that Ish Smith was going to play, a ton of minutes, then I'd have some interest in him because he's almost a fantasy point per minute player. I think he's been 0.90 fantasy points per minute for the season. So it's somebody I would look at for cheap, but I just don't think we're going to get a ton of minutes out of him. So more guys getting healthy here. Not super excited to play him. So again, it's Westbrook or bust for me, but we need this situation. I'm not going to put anyone in this lineup. There's just too much, uncertainty with what's going on here. And until we get some clarity, it's going to be hard to make these decisions. Next game here, we got New York at Detroit. No total in this game either. Novel Pell is probable for the Knicks. They signed him to, I think, the 10-day contract. So he's probable. So I don't know, with Robinson out, I'm assuming they're going to have him come in here and maybe play some backup center minutes. I'm not really sure. But he is probable to make his debut here. And I don't even think I see him on DraftKings at all. Yeah, I don't see him on DraftKings. Let me see if I see him on FanDuel. I don't see him on FanDuel either. So don't worry about that. On the Detroit side, no Okafor, no Magruder for Detroit, and Killian Hayes is probable, so they do get a guard back. But on New York side, Julius Randle's 9-4 on DraftKings, 9K on Fanduel. Again, somebody that I'm not super excited about playing ever. Just at these prices is all. So don't think I'm going to actually go there. RJ Barrett, 6,800 on DraftKings, 7,100 on Fanduel. Again, not super excited about playing him as well. Nerlens Noel's 5,900 on Fanduel, 4,900 on DraftKings. Barrett, Noel, Randall, really only guys I would look at, with Rose back, Peyton's there. When this team's fully healthy, I don't, they've been running a ton of guys out there like 20 minutes. The only guy that gets a ton of burn is Randall, and then Barrett's right next to him, but they're priced accordingly, and I don't really want to attack these guys. So let's move around the Detroit side. Jeremy Grant is 7,100 on DraftKings. He is 6,700 on FanDuel, 1.03 fantasy points per minute for the season, but over the last month, he's been just 1 fantasy points per minute. Not getting quite as much run, low 30s minutes. They don't really have anything to play for. Killian Hayes back, 3,500 on FanDuel, 3K on DraftKings. This could be a really interesting play. He hasn't played in a while. If he plays 20 minutes or so, it's going to take some away, from these other guys. It'll take away from Saban Lee a little bit. I think Killian Hayes, if he gets into the starting lineup and he plays 20 minutes or so at 3K, could be interesting in a tournament play. I wouldn't play him in cash. Detroit's one of those teams, again, that's just playing a ton of guys. They got Diallo as well, 6,100 on DraftKings. 4,900 on DraftKings, 6,100 on FanDuel. Been a massive spark off the bench. 36 and 43 fantasy points. We saw it with OKC. He can put up a ton of points off the when he gets some time. He's been, 1.03 fantasy points for the season. But again, a lot of that time was with OKC. Over the month, he's been 1.2. So he's the kind of guy that I would look at. But New York slows it down. If I was going to look at anybody over here at DraftKings, it would probably be Diallo. Plumlee at 6'4", a little bit interesting, but I don't love it. And Jeremy Grant 7'4". But Diallo would be the one guy I'd have interest in. Even with Killian Hayes back, I still think he's going to see, 26 to 28 minutes, and he's been doing really well for him. So I think at 4,900, I'm going to slide him in this lineup. More of a tournament play for me, but I do like that price tag, and I think there is some upside to him. Heading over to Cleveland at Miami, 204.5 over under. Man, that is a low over under. Miami favored by 12.5. Jared for Cleveland, no Jared Allen, no Larry Nance, no Windler, no Okpala, and Vincent is in for Miami. So on the Cleveland side, again, no Larry Nance, no Jared Allen. It's, we saw Kevin Love come back the other day, played 20 minutes, put up 22 fantasy points. Everybody got excited because he was scoring a ton. I'm like, that dude ain't going to play a ton of minutes. And he did not. I don't even know why he's in the league now. I wish he would just retire, just go away. So I don't see him playing more than 20 minutes. Cleveland's another one of those teams, plays a ton of guys. Hartenstein, 4,300 is the one guy I look at here. 20 minutes. He's 4,300 on DraftKings, 4,300 on FanDuel. If we look at it, 26, 35 over his last two, playing 20 and 26 minutes. Going up against Miami's not fantastic, but that's a cheap tag on him. Him and Dean Wade are probably going to play most of the minutes here. So those are the guys that I would look at playing. Sexton at 7,200 on DraftKings, 7,400 on FanDuel. Don't love that a ton. Especially going up against Miami. I don't want to attack it. Garland, 6,200 on FanDuel. 6,200 on DraftKings, 6,200 on FanDuel. I think a better play on DraftKings here. We're going up against Miami. 21, 33, 28 in those last three. The minutes are pretty stable for him and Sexton. Dean Wade, again, 4,600 on FanDuel, 4,800 on DraftKings. 32, 20, 28 over his last three. The minutes have been up. So you can look at playing some Dean Wade. I think Hartenstein's still going to be popular at 4,300. I think we're going to slide him in this lineup at center. He's just cheap enough, gets enough minutes to kind of get there for you. So I don't mind looking at him, especially on FanDuel as well. I wish he'd get a few more minutes than he has been getting, as we showed 20 and 26 minutes over his last two. The matchup's not great, but, he's cheap enough to get it done for us. So I don't mind throwing him in there at all. Let's go down the Miami side. They're getting pretty healthy here. So, Butler, Bam, they got Oladipo now too. You got to account for that as well. And Oladipo likes to chuck. And we got Dragic and we got Hero. I mean, the team is it's going to be hard to attack here because we don't know. I don't think Oladipo is going to play a ton of minutes, but it's going to take more shots away from Tyler Hero. It's going to take shots away from Dragic and Butler. I think Butler is the one guy that if I was going to play a Miami guy, he feels the safest. 9K on DraftKings though, and 9,100 on FanDuel. If we looked at his last few games here, 49, 34, 43, 42. At 9K, that's not going to get it done for me. So probably more of a cash game play than tournaments. I don't know if I see the upside there. Bam should do whatever he wants to against this Cleveland front court. Hartenstein and crew and Wade, they got nothing for Bam. 38, 41, 54 over his last three. I just worry is it going to stay close enough here for these guys to really do any damage. Bam is 9,200 on FanDuel, which is too expensive for me. So don't really love these guys on FanDuel at all. On DraftKings, again, Oladipo 7,300, Hero 5,900, Dragic 5,100, Nunn 4,900. They're just a full healthy team. And if they stomp a mud hole into Cleveland, which Vegas thinks they're going to, and I believe they are too, who's going to get this run? Maybe Nunn will get some good run, in the fourth quarter and crush here. I'm not going to take a gamble here and guess. Let's go to Minnesota at Philly. No total in this game either. D-Russ is out for Minnesota. Ricky Rubio is questionable. And then on the Philly side, Joel Embiid is questionable and George Hill is out. So on the Minnesota side, again, Rubio was out last game. He's questionable for this game. D-Russ is out. Towns put up a monster game here for Minnesota last night. I think he had 58 DraftKings points, 59 DraftKings points. But look at his last 5 games. 59, 53, 62, 56, 66. Super consistent. I like Cat a lot if there's no Embiid on the other side. So if we don't have any Embiid, 10-6 for Cat on FanDuel, 10K on DraftKings. It all depends if there's no Embiid or not. If Embiid plays, I don't like Cat that much. If Ricky Rubio sits, you got to look at, Anthony Edwards a little bit more. We do have Jordan McLaughlin there as well. If Rubio sits, he's always an interesting play. I always like playing McLaughlin if Rubio sits. Played 33 minutes last night, put up 19 DraftKings points, but he's only 3,500. And he's sneaky to get you 20, 25. And if we can't find any great value, I always like playing some McLaughlin. He's always overlooked. And more so on DraftKings and FanDuel, just because we need a couple of those cheap guys. So keep an eye on him if we don't have any great value that opens up. Noel's more of a shooter, but we have Beasley and Edwards there. I don't really like him, but McLaughlin playing that point if Rubio is out, I do like that. And then again, Cat is squarely in play for me only if Embiid sits. So really going to be hard to recommend anyone here until we know that news for sure. But again, if Rubio sits, I like some McLaughlin. I'm going to throw McLaughlin in here just while we're building things out. And I'm going to throw Cat in here as well. Let's move over to Philly side. Again, Joel Embiid, that's the big news here. If he does sit, then we can definitely look at maybe some of these, some of these other guys like Simmons and Harris going up against Minnesota. It's a great matchup against Minnesota. They don't play any defense. Simmons should be able to get to the rim anytime he wants to. But again, we need this Embiid news. If Embiid plays, I don't think he's going to play a ton of minutes. Maybe 28 to 30 minutes. I don't see him playing a ton. So it's one of those things where 10-4, I don't want any of them. 10-7 on FanDuel. But it just kind of muddles everything up when it comes to Simmons and Harris. 8-7, 8-6 on DraftKings, 7-9, and 7-8 on FanDuel. I like both those plays if Embiid is out. So we'll need that consideration. And again, Howard, I would like more 5,100 on FanDuel. I like that price. Not so much on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, 5,100 if Embiid does sit. But we're going to need that news here. Hard to make any recommendations without the Embiid news. But if he does sit, it's Howard on FanDuel for me. And all these plays, I'm fine with Simmons and Harris. More so on FanDuel than DraftKings. On DraftKings, it's probably Simmons going up against Minnesota. He hasn't had any monster games if you look at these minutes. But if you also look here, a lot of these games, smash Cleveland didn't play a lot of minutes. Denver only played 26 minutes. Clippers only played 26 minutes. So, and again, we need the Embiid news before we can make any decisions on this. Let's turn over to Indy at San Antonio. No total on this game either. More injury news. Sabonis is questionable. Lamb is questionable. Brogdon is questionable. And on the Spurs, no Lyles, no Walker, no Dates Diop, and no Gorgeous Dong, which would be Gorgie Dang. Again, Indy's on a back-to-back 3 and 4. We didn't have any Brogdon late scratch last night. So we saw TJ McConnell coming off the bench. I think they ended up starting Sumner there. But McConnell came off the bench, had a pretty decent fourth, but not a monster game. Sabonis did play. LeVert is there as well. So it all depends on what they're going to do with Brogdon. If Brogdon sat again, I have some interest in LeVert here. 7,200 on DraftKings, 7,100 on Fanduel. 31 and 30 over his last two ain't great, but I think there's upside there. If Sabonis and Brogdon both sat, like last night where there's no Brogdon, no Lamb, but Sabonis played. But if all three sat, I would love LeVert. I would love McConnell. They're going to have to score a ton. But Sabonis does take up a lot of usage. 9,200 on DraftKings, 9,200 on FanDuel. In play against the Spurs, no problem playing him if he does play. But, I'm not trying to force him in my lineups. FanDuel, though, LeVert 7,100. I do like that if Brogdon does sit. 7,200 on DraftKings. And then McConnell, 5K on DraftKings, 4,900 on FanDuel. I'd have a lot of love for him if we didn't have Brogdon today. And then we can always play some Holiday here. Justin Holiday, 4K on FanDuel, 4,400 on DraftKings. He's a filler piece for me. And then I'm just not a Miles Turner guy at all. So that's kind of where I'm looking there. On the Spurs side, DeMar DeRozan, 8K on DraftKings. Over here on FanDuel, he is 8K as well. Not sure I need to go to DeRozan here going up against Indy. Don't really like this side of the ball at all. DeJounte Murray, 7,200 on DraftKings, 7,700 on FanDuel. They're kind of all priced up on FanDuel, which is weird. I don't mind taking that price on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, I don't like it. Jakob Poeltl, 6,800 on FanDuel, 6,200 on DraftKings. Again, fringe play, nobody I really love. White, 6K on DraftKings, 5,900 on FanDuel. I just don't like this at all. This game just, we don't have a total on it, but it just seems like a low 210 total or something. Slow game. Just don't love it at all. So not going to attack here. I think this next game we'll attack has a few better plays in it. The next two games, but don't really love a whole lot of this, even with some of these guys out. The Spurs just seem to have just massive amount of people always. So nobody I'm looking to attack too much. Let's head on over to the next game. We have Orlando at Utah. And this is not the game I was talking about. I was talking about the Milwaukee at Sacramento. It's a pretty high total in that game. But Orlando at Utah. Orlando, man, what a dumpster fire of a team. No total in this game either. Terrence Ross is questionable. Maine's questionable. Cole Anthony is still out. Birch is questionable. Gary Harris is out for Orlando. Carter Williams Jr. is questionable. And then on Utah side, Mike Conley is doubtful, and Juwan Morgan is questionable. So with Mike Conley probably not sitting, we're probably going to play some Jingling Joe Ingles here, just at first glance. But on the Orlando side, they've been keeping games close, but it's really hard to attack these guys. They just play everybody. They have nothing to play for. They play damn near 15 guys. It's like, I don't want any of them. They're all decently cheap, but it's like no one plays over 30 minutes. And I don't like it. For DFS purposes, I don't like it. The guys that play close to those minutes, Okiki might play close to 30. Okay, play 34, 28, 30. He would be the one guy, but he's 5,800, 6,300. I ain't paying that. 0.84 fantasy points per minute last month. Carter Jr. only plays 20 minutes. Porter's playing 20 minutes. So dumpster fire of a team. I don't want any part of them. Over on the Utah side, I'm just going to slap in Jingling Joe Ingles here. Again, Mike Conley is doubtful. We know Ingles' assist rate go way up. I love it when he's out. When Mitchell's out, though, I don't like playing Ingles that much because I like playing Conley. But when Conley is out, I like playing Ingles. So too cheap here for me. Ingles 5,400 on FanDuel. I love it. Again, if Mike Conley sits, love Jingling Joe here. His just assists, everything goes up with him. He runs that second unit. And he just the ball is in hand a ton. Donovan Mitchell, 8,800 on DraftKings, $8,800 on FanDuel. Rudy Gobert, $7,700 on DraftKings, $8,500 on FanDuel. Fine with all these guys. Jordan Clarkson, $6,100 on DraftKings, $5,400 on FanDuel. Love Clarkson and Ingles here on FanDuel a lot. On DraftKings, it's basically Ingles for me. Clarkson is priced up a little bit. Don't love it. I don't mind playing Mitchell at all, even at this price if there's no Conley. So he's a guy that I think we can definitely look at here. I might slide him in this lineup. You know, they should be able to do what they want against Orlando. So Mitchell and Ingles here are guys I would look at. And that's about it for me. I don't need to play any Bogdanovich. You know, you can play some Rudy, but I have Cat and Hartenstein in this lineup. So I don't think I need to go to Rudy, but you know, you can play some Rudy if you want to. 2 games left on the docket. OKC at Portland. We have a 227.5 over under. Portland favored by 11.5. OKC, Mike Muscala is questionable. Darius Bazley is out. Dort is questionable as well. And then on Portland side, Nasir Little is questionable. So on OKC side, it's a dumpster fire when it comes to figuring these guys out. They are playing Portland though, which is a good thing. So, you know, SGA still out, Horford still out. So it's going to be Roby. Roby 5,800 on FanDuel, 6,200 on DraftKings. I do like this. 34-37 over his last 2. Good matchup against Portland. I ain't worried about it. You know, he is going to go up against Covington, which isn't fantastic, but at that price, I still think he can do something here. So I don't mind playing a little bit of Roby here, even though he's going up against Covington, who's a good defender. So I don't mind looking at him. More so much on FanDuel, but we got some money left, 6,400 left in these 2 slots, so he might fit into one. Moses Brown, center eligible only on both sides, 7,300 on both sides as well. Been a fantasy point monster, 1.18 fantasy points over the last month, you know, and having Al Horford out, 38, 24, 50, 43. He's got monster upside here, you know, playing over 30 minutes in each of his last 5 games. So he's a guy that we can definitely look at if we want to slide in here and not go Cat. Maybe we said, okay, Embiid's playing, I don't want to play Cat. Let's slide Moses Brown in here because I ain't worried about Nurkic. I'm not worried about Cantor. I'm fine playing him in this game. You know, yes, we have Portland favored by 11.5, but Moses Brown's still going to play a ton. You know, on the OKC side, I have a hard time playing any of the guards per se. You know, I don't really want to play Svi. I don't want Williams on FanDuel. I do like because he's 4,500, but I don't love him a ton. They still got Ty Jerome here as a shooting guard, so there's a ton of guys. They can still play 12 guys in the rotation. But I think who I'm going to focus on mostly is Roby and Moses Brown. If I'm going to look at these guys, I wouldn't play them both together. I don't think on FanDuel. I think it's possible at their prices. On DraftKings at 6,200, I don't know if I really want to play them. I think I just pick one of them. But that would be the guys I would look at playing, and maybe want to slide Roby in here just to kind of see what we get with this guard. But I don't know if I'd play them both together. I don't know if they have tournament winning upside at all. But decent total. You know, one of them could probably get there. And I just lean Moses Brown over I do Roby. I think he has higher upside. Let's head over on the Portland side. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of news here, you know, when it comes to Portland. Portland should be able to do whatever they want to against OKC. Their minutes are more tight. 9,900 for Lillard, 9,400 on FanDuel. No problem playing him. McCollum's 8,300 on FanDuel, 8,100 on DraftKings. Covington's 8,600 on DraftKings, 7,400 on FanDuel. He's got monster upside too. If we look at Covington's game log over here, you know, 34, 47, 43, 21, 37 over his last 5 games. So there's some monster upside as well. Something that we can definitely look at, and he should be able to do whatever he wants against Roby. So maybe he's a guy where he's like, we won't take Roby. We'll take Rocco here on the other side of it. He has, I think, bigger upside in this matchup anyways. And then we look at it, you know, Norman Powell, 6,200 on DraftKings, 6,400 on FanDuel since coming over from Toronto. Let's put up 30, 18, 33, 34 over his last 4 games. So not smashing, but not a horrible play. So if you want to look at him, I think you can look at him as well. And I'm not taking any of these other guys, any of these other fringe guys on an 8-game slate. Not looking at Cantor, not looking at Nurkic to take away from each other. Jones Jr., Melo, no thank you. Simmons, I'm completely out here. They're going to play Lillard, McCollum, Covington, Powell, heavy minutes. Nurkic and Cantor are going to play 23, 24 minutes apiece. even though they're, over a fantasy point per minute, they're not getting enough minutes to play here. And they should be able to do whatever they want against OKC, but still not looking to do any of that. And then, like I said, Melo, Jones, Simmons, no thank you. Let's head to the last game here. Milwaukee at Sacramento. Milwaukee favored by 6.5. Over under 239. PJ Tucker is questionable for Milwaukee. Rodion Kurucs is probable, and Whiteside is questionable. So Milwaukee, it's the same cats here. We got Giannis, Middleton, Holiday all in play. Should be able to do whatever they want against Sacramento here. Got 122 implied team total. Play any one of them that you want here. If we looked at Giannis, put up 47 against the Lakers, 31, but they're on a back-to-back 3 and 4. Last night he put up 72 fantasy points against Portland. Just absolutely smashed him in 33 minutes. So, but again, back-to-back 3 and 4. But Milwaukee only favored by 6.5. That's a low line, man. I don't know what's going on there. I know Milwaukee's playing, or Sacramento's playing a little bit better ball, but that feels a little low for me. Like maybe one of these guys is going to sit on a back-to-back. So we'll have to keep that out. But it's, again, 10 p.m. start time. Hopefully we get some news. But that line feels a little fishy at 6.5, going up against Sacramento. With Milwaukee being on a back-to-back, maybe they do rest one of these guys. So just be on the lookout for that. And again, we'll have you covered over at DFSArmy. DiVincenzo, 5,800 on DraftKings, 5,200 on Fanduel. Again, these guys really not in play for me unless they sit somebody. Bobby Portis, I love if Giannis did sit. 5,200 on DraftKings, 4,900 on Fanduel. He'd be one guy I'd look at. But all these guys are squarely in play. I just feel that line just feels weird to me. So just watch out for the news. And again, any of these guys are in play. If Giannis did sit, I'd want all the Middleton and Drew Holiday I could get in my lineups. And they'll become super chalk, but good chalk that I would eat. So we'll just keep that in mind in here as we're building this. Over on the Sacramento side, again, De'Aaron Fox, 8,900 on DraftKings, 9,500 on FanDuel. And if Giannis did sit or one of those big guys did sit, it would help all these guys as well, get there. They've been playing heavy minutes. Fox, Holmes, Hield, Barnes, all these guys play a ton of minutes. Halliburton, don't mind playing him either, 6,200 on DraftKings. He's 5,600 on FanDuel. I like him better on FanDuel, and I like him better if we did have one of these Milwaukee guys sit. And again, this is speculation on my part. I'm not saying that any of these guys are questionable. It just seems like a fishy line. Holmes, again, 7,400. DraftKings, 8,100 on FanDuel. He's way priced up, but he's been super consistent. 37, 52, 37, 45, 33. I don't love him against Milwaukee. Unless we got some of these guys out, and then I would like them a little bit more. All these guys would kind of get an uptick for me, but I wouldn't play anyone here outside of Fox, Holmes, Halliburton, Barnes, or Hield. I would stick here. I wouldn't, on a slate this big, don't play any of these other scrubs. And again, all their usage, not usage, but all their fantasy points per minute would probably go up if one of these big guys sits. It'll help them out to go up against a weaker defensive team. But this is a game you're probably going to want a few pieces from if one of these guys do sit. Again, pure speculation on my point. So let's head on over to FanDuel and build a lineup. Again, this is kind of where I'm sitting. Just first glance at it, I think Ingles is the one guy that'd be a core play I'd build around, with Conley doubtful. So he'd be the one core play. But it's going to be an interesting night just looking at it. Head over to FanDuel real quick, kind of build a sample lineup, kind of see what we got. When it comes to building the lineup here. I know we're going to need some news and whatnot, but if it does help, if we can kind of put a lineup together here. Like I talked about, I think power forward, I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, I'm speculating that Giannis is going to sit. He could play easily, no problem. That line again. So the only reason I say that is because I want to build my line with some cheap power forwards, because I like Roby and I like Hartenstein. Just because they allow things to open up a little bit more here. The big one as well is if Porzingis sits. If Porzingis sits, then I want to get in Luka, right? And then if Beal sit, I want to get in Westbrook. So can I fit in both? We could probably make that happen. If Beal was out and Luka was out, it's really hard to build a lineup without having all this news. So let's say we had Porzingis sit, Beal sit, and we had Giannis sit. Just try to build a lineup here. I want to try to build a lineup with Westbrook and Luka here. But if that did sit, I would have to put Chris Middleton in this lineup. He has to go in here. DiVincenzo would be another guy that I'd want in this lineup. He's cheap, so we could throw him in here as well. He's 5,200. Hardaway's a great play if there's no Porzingis, so I don't mind looking at him as well. He's 5,100. I think we have enough pay down here. Center would be the one spot I really wouldn't know what to do with, because I don't want to play these guys. If, again, this is one of those things, I like Dwight Howard a ton against Minnesota if we don't have Embiid. So I'll slide him in here. And again, this is speculation that Embiid sits. It's like I said, it's super hard to build this lineup without having any of this news. We got 5,300 left per lineup or per position here. Diallo's a little interesting, but expensive on Fanduel. I don't really love that. Halliburton, again, 5,600 nice. Jingling Joe's the guy I want, though, with Conley, so he's an easy fit here. So it would be Ingles and DiVincenzo if Giannis did sit. Again, speculatory. And then we got 5,300 left for this lineup in particular. Bogdanovich isn't a bad last piece. Actually, Josh Richardson's probably the guy I want if Porzingis sat. So I'd have Luka and Richardson here. I just like playing him. With Porzingis out. I don't think there's any other guy that I really want to play. I mean, you could look at Keldon Johnson, but he's so up or down. I think Richardson's probably the guy I want to look at here. Now, if Beal was out, though, I'd probably want to try to get up to Rui for 6K. So we'd have to move this around a little bit because Rui would be a guy that I really want to fit in this lineup against Dallas. So he would be one guy I would want. Didn't do great against Detroit 17. Before that, 37-37, 21-39 with massive minutes. But they were getting their butts kicked against Detroit. So I'd hope it'd be a little closer game. But this particular lineup, we'll just throw Josh Richardson in here. And again, you're not going to be able to build a lineup without this news. It's just not going to. Hopefully the news helped. Hopefully this quick rundown helped a little bit as well. So again, if you don't have a DFSArmy membership, head on over there, sign up, use promo code CashKeg, save yourself 10%. We'll have all the news. We'll have baseball. And we'll help you win some money, man. It's been a lot of fun. Hope this breakdown helped you out a little bit. And again, subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button for me. And I appreciate each and every one of you. See you on the flip side. Deuces.